Shalom, shalom. Hallelujah. Praise be to Elohei Abraham, Yitzchak, Yisrael, Elohei Aboteinu. Hope you all been having a good Shavuot, good week. Shavua Tov. And mine's definitely been well, enjoying this first week of being out of school. So I wanted to start off showing you all Sefer, the one I was just looking for, in regards to the Yom Yah question that you brought up earlier in the day or a few days ago in regards to something dealing with Aramaic. The Aramaic resource that I have used that I use to help teach myself Aramaic is, as you can see, this book called Basics to Biblical Aramaic, complete grammar, lexicon, and annotated text. All right, so this is a pretty good one that can help you with Aramaic. It is rather late. It's laid out rather similar to the Hebrew primer. As you will notice with the Aramaic, well, once you understand how Shemitic Binyanim systems work, right? They all work the same way, which is essentially you have Pa'al, or those verbs as your basic sound, right? And then anything that branches off of that, let you know what binyan you're in, right? From all the ones we've been through, be it the Pa'al, the PL, the Hif'il, now the Nif'al, as we've been going over as of late. So you already understand what you're looking for when you're dealing with binyanim systems. So it's the same thing when you go to other Shemitic languages. You go to Aramaic, they got a binyanim system. As opposed to Pa'al, it's Pe'al. Pe'al is their simple active, right? And then I'm just going back through looking in the book because it's been a while since I've looked over Aramaic as well. They have so they have the Pe'al, that's their Pa'al. Then they have a Pe'il, which I believe is like their PL. And then you have a Hitp'il, a Itp'il, a Hitpa'al, Itpa'al, Hafel, which is like our Hifil. They have a Hafel, which could also be Afel, Shafel, just different. You already know what you're looking for though, and how it branches off of your simple verb. All right, so this is a good resource, as as mentioned, for those that interested in that Aramaic. So, Hayom, we are going to go over the Nif'al Binyan as we were touching on last week. We can start off with just a basic review of our regular Binyan verbs and how they work to some variations. So can I be heard? I just heard a connection thing kind of sound off. I'm not sure. Can I be heard? Yes, it is. So I am currently on page 333 in HaSefer, Sefer Ivrit Limud. All right. Dealing with the Nif'al Binyan, this Shoresh being Shamar. All right. Shamar in the Pa'al would mean guard, or to guard or keep. But in the Nif'al, this is your simple passive. So the subject is on the receiving end of the verb action. So as you can see, this is be guarded. All right, the subject is being guarded. All right, so Nif'al, our past tense, we have the same suffixes as you do with all your other binyanim. You just have now the addition of your nun with the odd class vowel prefix, which is, of course, just like your sound up here, Nif-al, Nish-mar, as you see, Nish-marti, Nish-marta. So that's the same thing as Nif-al, Nish-mar, same verb and phonetic, in regards to the vowels, their fixations are the same. So Nishmarti, your first person, I was guarded. Nishmarta, you were guarded if you were speaking to a male. Nishmaret, you were guarded if you were speaking to a female. Nishmar, he was guarded. Or It was guarded, because this is your third person. It could refer to it as well. Nishmera, she was guarded, or also it, if the object is a feminine object you're referring to. Nishmarnu, we were guarded. Nishmartim and Nishmartin, you all were guarded, or y'all were guarded. All right, the mem sofit, your masculine, nun sofit, your feminine. And then your last one, Nishmeru, they were guarded. All right, so your suffixes all being the same, just the addition now of your nun with the I class vowel, and then a shewa under the first letter of your verb root, which makes that nun I class vowel in that first letter of the verb become a syllable. All right. In this example, it's nish. All right. But if it was another verb, of course, then it would make the first syllable sounding with that nun, with whatever that first letter is. All right. So that is your past tense. Your future tense, or your imperfect tense, all your signal letters are the same. This future tense, as I mentioned before, when we went over this, that it is probably one of the more irregular future tenses because it has 3 different syllables in it. All right, because as you see, there's 3 different vowels, and what that does is, opposed to 2 letters joining together under one vowel, you have each letter having its own vowel. So what that does essentially is makes the word have more syllables. All right, so when you look at this first one, you see your aleph signal letter, which is customary, of course, for your first person future tense, has the E class vowel dot, the 3 dots in the downward triangle. Then you have your first letter of your verb root with an A class vowel. Then you have the second letter of your verb root with the 2 horizontal dots, making that sound A. All right, so E-I-A is pretty much the sound you're getting there, E-I-A. So how this word would be pronounced, Eshamer, Eshamer. All right, which would mean I will be guarded. Now that this your first person is the only one where the signal letter takes an E class vowel. For the rest of this, they all take I class vowels. All right, so this next one here, Tishamer, you will be guarded in the masculine singular. Tishamri, you will be guarded in the feminine singular. Yishamer, he will be guarded, or it will be guarded. Tishamer, she will be guarded, or it will be guarded. Nishamer, we will be guarded. Tishamru, you all will be guarded. And you have Tishamarna, you all will be guarded, this one being the rare form of your feminine second person plural. All right, it is rare, but important to be able to recognize. The one up here can work for both groups of men and women, but if you want to be very specific, of course, you always have this option. And then our last one there, Yisham. Yishamru, this would be they will be guarded. All right. So in your future tense, that's just the one thing that you will have to account for, is the changing in how many syllables there are in the word to pronounce it, as opposed to other future tense binyan examples, right? Like in the pa'al, or in the PL. Well, the PL you do have the shewa, but in the pa'al, for example, since the nifal is like the mirror of the pa'al, right? Because the pa'al is your simple active. The mirror image of that is your nifal, which is your simple passive. So in comparing it to the pa'al, where the future tense generally is only pronounced with 2 syllables, because you have the shiwa under the first letter of the verb root, with your pa'al, right? But for this, you see it is different, where you have 3 syllables. All right. Does anybody have any questions over that? All right. We have our present tense, masculine singular up here, nishmar. All right. So simply to make it in the present tense, you just have to, in your nifal form, just use that nifal or use that noon like you would be using a mem in the PL or the hifil, right? You're going to be using that noon to identify your present tense. So going all the way through, your feminine singular, nishmeret, nishmarim, your masculine plural, nishmarot, your feminine plural. All right, so those are pretty simple. I mean, it can be said, of course, that this nishmar is the same thing as the nishmar over here for your past tense, but this is the root, the shoresh of the verb. For this binyan, how it would look. So just keeping that in mind. Our command form, also having our 4 different forms. We have hishamer. Remembering that your command form generally branches off of your second person future tense. So over here you have tishamer, which is already sounding like a command. You will be guarded. All right, so you're changing that tau to a hey, hishamer. All right, you're commanding somebody, you will be guarded, a male, masculine singular. Then you have here hishamri, branching off from tishamri. All right, just once again, hey, exchanging for that tau. All right, then you have hishamru from tishamru. All right, and then hishamarna from tishamarna. So literally just the changing of a hey for that second person prefix in your future tense. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the same way that the hifil binyan works as well. That the hifil command form binyan, the hey comes back into play and is exchanging for, just as it is here with your second person future tense to make it the command. All right, and we have our infinitives. Starting off with our top one here, we have lehi shamer. All right, so the he shamer coming from, once again, your command form, he shamer. Now you're just adding a lamed preposition, the lamed with the shewa. So a very quick E class vowel sound coming off of that. So lehi shamer is how you would pronounce this. And that would literally mean to be guarded. Lehi shamer. All right. And then we have down here, nishmor for our emphasis form. This one is actually, it kind of goes back to how the pa'al emphasis form is, where in the pa'al it takes the vowel fixture of a and o, o. Regardless of what verb you would use, it would be o. So here it's o. All right, where you have still the nif'al form, making your first 2 letters, be it the noon and the first letter of your verb group, into 1 syllable. But your second syllable still has the O class vowel, just like the pa'al emphasis form works with the o fixture. All right, so now you just have e-o, nishmor, e-o. All right. So that is your nif'al for your regular binyan, for your regular verbs. Anybody have any basic questions over this before we get into some of the irregulars? All right. Well, for those that have the sefer, I am going to be turning the page. We are now on page 334. All right, so looking down here at the bottom where we have the Nifal transformer verbs. All right, generally, these verbs will be the verbs that start with a yod. Surprise, surprise. All right, isn't that generally the same or one of the few variations we deal with in every binyan? Right, so no surprise here. We should be used to this by now. All right, so what happens is that this yod changes to a wow with the O class vowel. All right, as you see here, the yod of the root is transformed to the wow with the yod class vowel, or with the O class vowel. All right, and if you think about it, this is exactly how the hifil worked. All right, so looking down here, as we go into our example, we have our past tense where we have the verb we just went over, shamar, and the being used in the nifal binyan. And then we have our verb yalad, which means to beget. But of course, this is in the nifal, so it's referring to like being born, right? Because you're on the receiving end. So as you see here, as our first example, we have noladti. All right, our wow has changed to the or slika, our yod. Let me find something to put this down. How the wow with the or slika, the yod has changed to the wow with the O class vowel, and then you have, of course, your noon still there. So, are the page numbers the same in the PDF as they're on the book? I'm not quite sure about the PDF. I haven't looked at it, but this is in, if you are looking at the PDF, this is in chapter 28, dealing with the Nifal Binyan. So I'm not sure what page it is, but that's what chapter we're in. All right. So if we were to go back to the Hifil Binyan, for those that recall and were around for those classes, this looks literally the exact same way, this binyan of how these kind of verbs would be dealt with. Verbs that have yod as the first letter of that verb, where the yod drops, changes to a wow with the O class vowel, and then since this is the nifal, you have a noon. If this was the hifil, it would be a hey, and this would be holad t, right? But since this is the nifal, it is nolad t. All right, so just going through this, we have nolad ta. All right, you were born. Noladet, you were born feminine. Nolad, he was born. Nolda, she was born. Nolad nu, we were born. Nolad tim, and oh, this is another feminine one in here, but Nolad tim, you all were born. And Noldu, they were born. So literally, the paradigm would look the exact same if this was hifal or slika, hifil, with this verb. All right, so they work the exact same. If you go back in your notes and just observe that, you'll notice. And I think that's one of the reasons actually why this book lays it out where they do the nifal pattern right after we got done doing the hifil, before they throw you into the hitpael, which I believe is the next one. All right, so that is your past tense, dealing with these kind of verbs with yod as the first letter. Does anybody have any questions before we move to the future tense? Okay. The future tense. This form, I would say, probably is one of the harder forms to remember and to be able to wrap your mind around how it works. It is a little interesting, as you all can see there. So how this one generally works, your yod is now changing to a wow with an A class vowel. As you can see, your wow here has the A class vowel all the way through. And then your signal letter, even in the first person, also has an I class vowel So, and as well as the rest of the binyan, which is the same as your regular ones are, only the difference, your first person has the I class vowel as well now. All right. Other than that, it is pretty much the same, where your second to last letter of your verb root has the two horizontal vowel dots. That's the same thing as it is in your regular, right? But you do have to account for where in the past tense that yod was changing to a vowel with the o vowel, but in your future tense that yod is changing to a vowel with an a vowel. So this going all the way through would be iwaled, tiwaled, tiwaldi, yiwaled, tiwaled, niwaled, tiwaldu, and yiwaldu. I know that in the hifil, these kind of verbs that have yod as the first letter, they work a little different in the hifil. But you still do have the changing with this variation. Does anybody have any questions with this one? Okay. Let me go slide over here to this other page where it does a little bit of comparison, which is like a good little one they got broken down here. It says up here lookalikes. All right, so it breaks down. You have ones in this column: nifal, hifil, pl, and pa'al. All right, so let's look at some of these. You have here your pa'al, your verb for shabar. All right, so you have it here, eshbor. Then you have it here, ashaber. Then you have it over here, eshaber. All right, so three different binyanim being used with one verb, and all of them are, essentially looking alike. And this is the thing where, the people that have the argument in regards to, oh, well, what about vowel points and when they were all added, how do we even know that's part of the language? This is why these things had to be codified, because if you're looking at some script and you don't have the nikudo, or if you don't have the prior knowledge of what the actual pronunciation or voice is being used there, what's being said, you wouldn't know by looking at these letters if this is a pa'al being used in the pa'al and the pl or in the nifal. And that's the reason why this stuff is important. You have to be able to uncover the hood essentially and know what's going on. And when it comes to the Torah, of course, if you get to that point where you just know because you studied it so much and you don't need the vowel points, then and that's really what the goal is. I'm sure we all have at some point, but you got to go through these necessary steps, because otherwise, which one we talking about? How would you know which way to pronounce it? So the verb shabar, of course, meaning break. So in the pa'al, eshbor, I will break. Ashaber, your pl, I will smash. This is your intensified active. All right, from the simple active with your pa'al. Then you have your nif'al, eshaber, I will be broken. All right, this is the subject being on the receiving end of the action, your simple passive. All right, so as opposed to over here, I will break, now you're being broken. All right, all of these being used in the future tense. All right, let's look at this next one here. We have here Yishma, Yashmiya, and Yishama. All right, so in the Pa'al, Yishma, he will hear. All right, coming from our verb Shama. In the Hifil, Yashmiya, he will announce. Because the Hifil, it's a causative. So you are causing other people to hear something, i.e. you are announcing something. you will announce. Right, your nifal, you have yishama, he will be heard, referring to the subject. All right, he will be heard by the audience. All right, so you do have, of course, in this example, the pa'al and the nifal look the exact same. In regards, you would only distinguish them by their pronunciation. Letter-wise, they look the same in spelling. But the hifil is a little bit different, but nonetheless, all having the same verb in it, it could be hard to, for the onlooker that might not know how to be able to distinguish it. All right. And then you have your last one here, nikrot, nachrit, nikaret. All right. This is coming from your verb to cut down, karat. So nikrat, we will cut. And we have here, and that's in your pa'al. Then we have nakrit, we will destroy. All right, so it's like you're causing something to be cut down or what have you. So yeah, you're destroying something. And then nikaret, we will be cut off. All right, because now you're the subject receiving the action. So yeah, you're being cut. We will be cut off. All right, and interestingly enough, uh, the verb karat. All right, it's spelled kaf, resh, tau. I kind of found this funny when I sat back one day and I thought about it. How the word karat means to cut down, right? And what sounds a lot like karat? I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna see if somebody can. Right. And what do you do in karate? You cutting something down, right, with your hands, with your feet. So I was like, man, that's kind of interesting how that, etymology wise is so close. Just something I found that was, curious. Thought I would just throw that out there. Um, what's up? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. And I think I've seen that before, like where, they say that the Japanese have some Hebrew roots, and I mean, I would necessarily wouldn't doubt it because it's like when we think about Hebrews, Hebrews aren't just, descendants of, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, there's other Hebrews that weren't even from, because Hebrew starts from Eber, right? Which was one of the descendants of Shem. So there was plenty of people that were considered Ibrim, if you want to get technical. So I wouldn't doubt that there was already people that could have got there. I don't doubt it. So, but yeah, that's that stuff is deep, man. And language, the study of language, man, that's what connects everybody. Like that's why the Tower of Babel, and we had to get taken out because our people was trying to use it for the wrong reason. But language connects, societies, man. It's a beautiful thing. Let's see here, trying to see where we should go next. Um, how do you all feel about the? I'm going to, and I guess I should just, I mean, I don't have to wait to the end to mention this, but of course, we won't be having classes coming up Yom Rishon because it will be Chag Shavuot. We will have class next Yom Khamishi, and then after that, we won't be having class for about the next 2 weeks. After that, from next, our next class will be Yom Khamishi, but after that, we won't have class for 2 more weeks because I'll be on a trip in Israel. So yeah, we'll definitely reconvene though when I get back, which will be in the second week of July. So how does everybody feel about the Nif Al Binyan? Because I can go on ahead and give you all a little prequel to the Kutzvah. Yeah. Okay. So there. I mean, definitely, I will say, that the Nifal is, especially more so in the future tense, it is one of the more complicated ones to wrap your mind around. I ain't going front, even in conversation and stuff, it's one of the ones that just kind of slip by you because, it's hard to, sometimes put together depending on what you're trying to say, especially in the future tense, because you got all those syllables you got to worry about. Yeah, so it can be a little difficult. Um, Definitely, if you all do feel at least comfortable with the concept, I will send out some homework dealing with the Nifal Binyan. But with these last 15 minutes, we can definitely at least go into the basics of the Hitzpayel. All right, before my phone dies on me. All right, so the Hitzpa'el is your reflexive. All right, so we've gone over, just to review, we've gone over the Pa'al, which is your simple active. We've gone over the PL, which is your intensified active. We've gone over the Hifil, which is your causative active. We've gone over the Nifal, which is your simple passive. So that's like your mirror of your Pa'al. Um, the book that we're using does not cover the pual or the hofal. The pual being the intensive passive, essentially the mirror image of your PL binyan, and then the hofal is your causative passive, which is your mirror image of your hifil, your causative active. So, but this book does not cover the pual or the hofal. Those two binyanim are rarely used, but so that's why the book doesn't cover them. But by thinking about how all the other binyanim have worked with their sounds, pual, you could probably already guess how that verb is going to be in the past tense and in the future tense, how it's going to sound. And plus, if you all, and I know you all do, have resources like the 201 Hebrew verbs or the 501, for those of you who might have the 501, just look through there and you'll be able to already pick up enough from what you know from the other binyanim and how they work when you look at the puwal or the hofal for those verbs that do have those forms, because not all of them have those, but for the ones that do, you'll be able to pick up some information just by looking at those resources. So those all have mirror images. Those six. Now, this one does not have any mirror image. It is its own. It is the reflexive binyan, which is essentially doing action itself. All right. So that is what this voice is referring to in regards to any verb you're using, you're doing it to yourself. So just looking at some of the examples here, it says, let me see, I'm on page 346 for those that do have this tutorial. Page 346. All right, so it goes through, you have verbs like halak, which in the pa'al meant to walk or to go. In the hitpa'el, it means to go back and forth, to walk oneself around, right? You have here halel. In the PL would mean praise. In the hitpa'el, or hitpa'el, slika, it would mean praise oneself or to boast, right? Because you're doing the action to yourself. Let me see here. So down here you have the verb huidesh, right, for to make something holy or sanctify in the PL. The hifil example is you're causing something to be holy or you're dedicating it. But the hitpa'el example is you're making oneself holy, you're sanctifying yourself. All right, this is, once again, you're doing the action to yourself in the hitpa'el. So just like the other binyanim sound, like what they are called, the letters that you hear in the vowel pattern that you hear, those are the same ways that those binyanim work. So that's the same way the hitpa'el works. So in the past tense, as we're going to get to shortly, you'll see you have a hey with an I class vowel, and then a tau with the shell making your first syllable, and then you have your verb root, and then your regular suffix. All right, so this binyan to me is actually quite easy to well, not just to recognize. It's the easiest one to recognize, of course, given that it has the hey and the tau, but also because of how it conjugates. It's not a hard one necessarily. So let's just jump on into it. Look at this one. This is on page 348. This is the verb palal, pray. All right. So let's look at the past tense. We see here we have hit. All right. Just like this is the hit pa'el. So now you have here hit palal ti. So if we just took away the hit, this would be just like the pa'al verb, right? Palalti. That's how it would be. But and even so, these first two letters that are the addition, they make their own syllable. So they really don't get in the way, if you want to put it that way, of meshing with the sound of the verb root, right? These make their own syllable on their own. They just standing over here. And then you got your second syllable, so it sounds kind of like a pa'al verb, but of course you have that hit there to start it off. So hit palalti, hit palalta, hit palalet. And then you have here your third person, which does have the same sound like hit pa'el, this being hit palel, right? Hit palel, just so like your hit pa'el binyan, so having the exact same vowel fixture. And then you have hit pala, your feminine third person. Hit palalnu, hit palaltem, hit palalten, hit palu. All right. So all of these would be just how they are without the hit there if this was the pa'al binyan. So this is one of the easier ones, as I mentioned, at least to me, in regards to how it conjugates and how you write it down. So that is your past tense. Your future tense, you now still have the tau. You have over here the hey and the tau. You still have the tau, only now the hey that you had in your past tense is changing to the signal letter. All right, so, but you still have the tau, so they're still making their own syllable. All right, only now the letter does change given what the subject is. All right, so your first one here is et palel. All right, now of course here you have the two vowel dots under the second letter of your verb root, as opposed to your past tense where you had all A class vowels. All right, so the future tense looks more so like the traditional understanding of it's pa'el, 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 right? Now the only thing, as I mentioned, changing is your signal letter. So et pa'el, tit pa'el, tit pa'li, yit pa'el, tit pa'el, nit pa'el, tit pa'lu, tit pa'el na, your second person feminine plural, and yit pa'lu. All right, so these are very easy to recognize. The hit or the tau and the whatever the signal letter is in the future tense make these ones definitely probably the easiest to recognize. Kane, I'm definitely going to get to that. I actually think that this book mentions that, if I'm not mistaken. No, it doesn't actually. Okay, so I'll bring it up. So with the sheen, when you have verbs that start with a sheen or with a samek. All right, both of those S sounds. All right, what will take place is that the tau and that sheen or samek will switch places. All right, they will switch places. So one verb that I use all the time that follows this rule is the verb shemesh in the PL, which refers to like to serve or something like that. So in the hitpael, it means to use, like literally like to use. You know, I need to use this, blah blah blah. So I use that verb a lot, and how it would sound in the past tense would be hish tamashti. All right, because the verb is sheen, mem, sheen, but the tau and that S sound, because it's a sheen, and even if it was a samek, it doesn't make a difference. The tau and that S sound, the sheen or the samek will switch places. So for that verb example I was using, it would become hish tamash t, right? Hish tamash ta, hish tamash it, right? And same thing with the future tense, it would be esh tamesh, tish tamesh, as opposed to as what we just went over here, right? So you just have to, and I'm surprised that this chapter doesn't mention it, at least I don't see it mentioned anywhere, which I'm a little shocked at, but Todaki for reminding me that you all definitely need to know that. So just look up the verb that I'm actually referring to have an example. The verb is, as I mentioned, sheen, mem, sheen. It's the verb that means to use, and you will, this is a verb in it means to use in the hitpael binyan. So you will see that tau and that S sound switching places. All right. Anyway, it switches places for all the forms, the past tense, the future tense, present tense, the infinitives, throughout the whole thing, it's switched. All right. So, Cain. Cain. And the bar. And when you think about it, think about how hard it would be for the mouth to make the sound hit and then make an S right after it going into another syllable. Just think about, try to do that real quickly. It's not something that's really that easy, so it makes sense, for the dentals and how you pronounce things in certain parts of your mouth, why that, switch is necessary and why that takes place. So let's jump into this real quickly. The last few minutes we got our present tense. We have here mitpalel. All right, so we're going back to the same thing we dealt with in the PL and in the hifil, where your mem prefix was identifying present tense. So it's the same thing here in your hitpalel. So those three forms, the PL, the hifil, and the hitpalel, or hitpael. Also, I mean the pual is the same way as well. How they all use mem prefix to identify future tense. All right. So of course, though, this is the hitpael form. So you're going to have the tau there as well, just as you have in the past tense, future tense. But now you have the mem there instead of where the hey was in the past tense. So mitpalel, mitpalelet, mitpalim, mitpalot. And then our command form, branching off from our second person future tense, itpalel, coming from titpalel, itpali, coming from titpali, itpalu, coming from titpalu, right? So same thing as is generally goes on with other forms, is that these command forms branch off your second person future tense. And where the signal letter that would be there in the future tense is changing to a hey. So we've seen this in the ifil. We you see this is different, right? This is different. And then our verbs, like our infinitives, our emphasis form, just start with that one. This is the same as your command past singular form is hit palel. Hit palel both being the same. And then regular infinitive, the hit palel. So the heat is, the general sound that you're going to have to it. When you think about, there's something that people say all the time that it means like see you later. If anybody recalls, if I want to say see you later, what would I say? Okay, the heat traveled. All right, so that is the verb ra'ah, which means to see, being used in this exact form, your regular infinitive, hit pa'el binyan, right? The heat traveled. So, and of course, that verb, right, and the travel, because you're a, changing to boat, it's the same thing that is the pa'el here. So, just keeping that in mind, that for your pa'el, that you're going to have that, the heat for your regular fit. And of course, as I mentioned, if it's a verb with a sheen or a samek, it would change even in this form. So as I was using the verb shemesh for like to serve or to use in the hitpael, this would be lahish tamesh. All right, that's what that would, to use. So to literally say to use, like, I want to use. Ani wrote say lahish tamesh, I want to use. So definitely, look up that verb. That'll be a good one to add to the repertoire. But that will be the last thing we go over today. I know we went over a lot with the review of the Nifal and going over the new variation, and then essentially going through all of the Hitchfa'il. Because I mean, you already know the basic constructs of what falls under a binyan, right? So you guys, this isn't new to you all at this point. So I mean, at least, and if I'm going too fast, let me know. But I've seen you're all, seen everybody's growth and me just, thinking that you all are familiar with, all the things that fall under a binyan. You know that there's going to be the past tense, future tense, present with your four forms, your command form, infinitives, and what have you. So, you kind of already know what you're looking for. So, if I'm going too fast, let me know. There's always time for review. We will do that. Be on the lookout for some homework for the NIFAL uh, Binyan. I won't send any homework on the Hitpael. Uh, I'll probably wait till next week for that. Definitely just be on the lookout for NIFAL. And you all enjoy, enjoy Chag Shavuot, enjoy Yom Shabbat coming up. Definitely, man, enjoy your summers. And enjoy this game about to come on, because I know I'm not the only one about to turn it on. So, with that, does anybody else have anything they'd like to say before we end out for the night? Okay. Okay, what's going on? Okay. 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 Definitely appreciate that, man. You as well, man. Glad to have you here. Yeah, man. I don't know who everybody's going for tonight. I'm actually just, I kind of hope to go to Game 7 just for the intensity build of it. But but definitely, man, you all have a good time, and this evening and tomorrow and Yom Shabbat, Chag Shavuot, and we'll definitely reconvene. Don't come and cheat next week. If you all have any questions on the homework, you all already know how to reach me. So definitely, man, you all have a good one. Kane. Right, right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I might be able to do that. I'll definitely let you know. 'Cause, yeah, my hope is to try to be done packing before then. But yeah, so I'll definitely let you know. So we might be able to do something like that for sure. Yeah. So definitely be on the lookout for that next week. Yom Kamishi this time. All right. Hallelujah. All praise be to Elohei Abraham, Yitzchak, Yisrael. Father told.